on these some of the issues I would like to highlight. Specifically, I will sum up the year 2019 as any other year where we have witnessed lots of challenges. Again, we are still afflicted by a number of administrative challenges. It's a year when Parliament came up with a new legal instrument, that is the KCC Amendment Bill, which was passed and assented to by the President on the 28th of November, though not yet gazetted up to the present day, and therefore not yet in force. We hoped that Parliament would put into consideration the issues we raised. Unfortunately, there are quite a number of areas that remained untouched, there are a number of grey areas which were never addressed by Parliament. It is an opportunity lost for us to decisively deal with the structure and legal challenges bedeviling the institution of KCCA. It's a year that has witnessed quite a number of issues within the institution. And hopefully, the stakeholders charged with the management of the institution will pick a lesson from what we have gone through. It's again a year which ended on a note where we received a new minister in charge of KCCA, Honorable Betty Amonji. We hope she comes into the city and administration of Kampala, KCCA in particular, with a different style compared to that of her predecessors. It's our sincere hope, where we should have respect for the structural arrangement of the institution, the roles of different actors, specifically the elected leadership, the different layers of administration and governance established under the law. We hope she will liaise with the administration and governance of the city. The office of the Lord Mayor here is open to the minister. I hope immediately she assumes office, she will find the time and space to come here to the institution to familiarize with what is going on here, to acclimatize herself with the environment, and also to get to understand what we are engaged in, the agenda we are pursuing, and the different players we have in the institution going forward. We hope we do not again set ourselves on a collision course, and we don't overlap our respective mandates, that we do not overlap our respective mandates. That said, I want specifically to focus on the duties conferred on the office of the Lord, bestowed rather on the office of the Lord Mayor under the new legal arrangement, and what we intend to do within this coming year. You recognize that under the law, the new KCCA Act, in section 9, the Lord Mayor is clearly stated to be the political head of the city, and is also one of the functions, actually the core function of the office of the Lord Mayor, as stated in section 9 of this act. I will read it verbatim so that you get to understand it. To initiate strategies and programs for the development of the city. That is function number 1. To initiate strategies and programs for the development of the city. And in section 14B, functions of the executive committee led by the Lord Mayor, again number 1 is to prepare and present the annual budget to council. This is the core function of the office of the Lord Mayor. What do I intend to do immediately upon this law is gazetted and within this financial year as the Lord Mayor? Number 1 is to finalize the strategic plan. Currently, KCCA has no strategic plan, socio-economic development plan. The one we had expired in financial year 2018-2019. So currently we have none. We have no structure. We have no strategic plan, a 5-year development plan. So I'm going to first track the processes of finalizing the development of the strategic plan, which shall guide our development and transformation agenda for the next 5 years, 2020-2025. That development plan must be rolled out this coming year. One of the first priorities, one of the first things I'm going to do is to finalize that plan, the strategic plan. And like you, under the law, this strategic plan focuses on socio-economic transformation. It has got nothing to do with the structural development of the city. There are 2 components, the structural plan and socio-economic development plan. So this plan will encompass all the development programs we want to implement, and to spell out the specific deliverables, including but not limited to a number of structural transformation you'd want to see in Kampala. 2, to finalize at least 5 precincts out of the 25 precincts of the Kampala development plan. Kampala development plan, I will show you that huge report which I've always presented to you. I want to give it to show you that particular report that was presented to us by the consultants, and I've talked about it quite often. It's a quite detailed plan, but the reason it has not been fully developed now is because we have lacked necessary funds. There's been poor allocation to the Directorate of Physical Planning. And in the contentious budget which you are aware of, the budget framework paper which we contested, they had allocated 1.3 billion Uganda shillings towards developing a structural plan. That is totally unacceptable. With these powers given to the office of the Lord Mayor, one of the first things again I'm going to do is to make adjustments in the budgetary allocations to channel more resources to planning, physical planning, to ensure that we develop this plan. This is a draft. You look at this draft. This one. It's just a draft. It's over 400 pages, this one. The physical development plan. It's yet to see light of that day. Because of inadequate funds, we resolved to develop it piecemeal. And the director of physical planning said, okay, let's have different, let us map out 25 precincts. So we have resolved, at least this financial year, my office would like to see 5 precincts properly planned for. These will include the Kololo, Nakasero, Makerere, and the 2 others that will be agreed upon. But to begin with, Kololo, Nakasero, Makerere. Those precincts cover wide spectrum, a big area. And the reason we had to start with those ones is because there is some semblance of order in those particular localities. There is some semblance of order. Most of these other parts have already gone to the dogs. They require quite massive investment. But at least with the Kololo, Nakasera, and Makerere, you have somewhere to start from. That is according from the guidance we have got from the technical people. So my target, or the target of the Office of the Lord Mayor, is that 5 precincts should be done within those within next year. Thirdly, Kampala Street Lighting Master Plan. I'm bringing you good news that we have now embarked on the implementation of this plan. You recall last year we invited you to Hotel Africana, where we launched this plan. It's a very big one, the Kampala Street Master Light Plan. Kampala Street Lighting Master Plan. It's a very big one. You recall we launched it at Hotel Africana. Now, the good news I'm bringing to you, this is the plan we launched. The good news I'm bringing to you, that during this month of December, we have managed to get this project approved by our development partners. That is the development, the credit committee of the Africa Development, of the French Development Agency, AFD, as well as the board. The committee sat on 12th December, and the board sat on 19th, just a couple of days ago, and they approved $800,000 US. They have approved 800,000 euros. 800,000 euros. To begin with, we have 2 development partners who are financing this. AFD, the French Development Agency, and the European Union. European Union was supposed to sit on 13th of December. But due to circumstances beyond their control, the meeting was postponed to January. So they are also going to sit in January to see how the same facility is going to be approved. We have had engagements with the mission from the French government here at the Office of the Lord Mayor and elsewhere in France. In all these engagements we have had, I've traveled several times. You've seen me on these travels to France, and the engagements we have had on a number of occasions with the French ambassador, the previous one and the new one, and the country director of AFD and the entire team and the mission that came from France. And now the good news is that we are now finalizing the process, and the facility has been approved. This is going to help us in this coming financial year at least to put in place, not only, this cannot be in 1 year, but we are going to begin on the erecting 35,000 smart street poles, which are going to be installed. And the model we have adopted right now is to have a 75% off-grid system and 25% on-grid. 75% off-grid, that is solar lights. 25% on-grid, that is umeme. We have been facing lots of challenges clearing the bills. It's been so costly to clear these bills. So what we have now resolved is to go solar, 75%. This is a huge milestone because it is trending all over. Many of you are admiring Kigali, Bujumbura, you've seen. They are moving towards, many of them have adopted solar lights. So we are going solar, 75%. The implementation begins this coming year, and it will roll out until completion of the same. Kampala Drainage Master Plan. Again, last year we launched the Kampala Drainage Master Plan, but unfortunately, government has not committed adequate resources towards construction of drainage channels in Kampala. And that's the reason you see the floods here. The technical people estimated that it would cost, the implementation of this, the technical people estimated that implementation of this plan will cost $208 million US. That is over 775 billion Uganda, close to 800 billion. It's quite a lot of money. It's huge. Because our budget right now is 325 billion. We have seen government borrowing unnecessarily. And I'm one person who is opposed to this incessant borrowing, contraction of loans, and how our debt portfolio is too huge. But we have no choice. We have no choice. So my government, or the office of the Lord Mayor, is going to push for a facility to be approved by Parliament to finance this. Because we cannot sustain this locally. It's not possible. So we must get a facility. We have no choice. It's very, very painful. It's very, very unfortunate. But we have no choice but to get a loan facility. So I'm going to initiate a process to go through Parliament to ensure that we get a soft loan to finance the reconstruction of the primary drainage channels. The secondary ones, we can always continue maintaining them. But the primary ones, that is, these are the ones which were highlighted in the Kampala State Drainage Master Plan. Nachivubo Channel, Rubiji Channel, Nalukorongo Channel, Nakamiro Channel, Kalidubi Omayanja North Channel, Nalubaga Channel, Mayanja North Channel, Chinawataka, and Kansanga Gaba. There are 9 in total. We have no choice. Already there are facilities in place which we are still monitoring for specifically 2, Rubiji and Nalukorongo. Nalukorongo, the resources, the funds are already there given by World Bank. It's only the funds of the government to compensate, to handle rather the PAP challenges, issues, relocation of the people. That's the only thing. I'm going to push for the same, and also for other channels to be financed. The other thing is affordable and reliable workspaces in Kampala. It's one of the priorities I am going to put in place. This actually, this item is it's high on my priorities, on the agendas of my office. I should say the office will put this as one of those key priorities. We shall focus on construction of common user facilities. There are ongoing constructions which must be completed this financial year. This year we have to complete Kasubi. We bought that land and started the construction. It has to be completed. We have to complete also Chitintari, where construction started. But in addition to that, and Busega, which is on the Africa Development Bank loan. But in addition to those three which are under construction, this year we must commence on construction of at least 2 markets. 2 markets. Gaba, we have already bought land. When I'm looking at the budgetary allocations as the Lord Mayor, with the powers given to the office of the Lord Mayor now, my proposal to the council will be the construction of Gaba. And because Gaba and Karerwe. Gaba, because the whole of Machinde division has got no market as we talk right now. The whole of Machinde division. The only market you can talk of in Machinde division is Usafi. But Usafi is more or less in the central division and it's a makeshift market. So there is not even a single market in the Machinde division. At least we should start with the Gaba as we move on. So next year, or this coming year, 2 markets will have to be constructed. Solid waste management. You realize we still have lots of challenges with the solid waste management. We have had the problems with Chitezi. We bought land in Dundu. So the office of the Lord Mayor, in realigning the budget to the vision and mission of KCCA, will have to focus on enhancement of our capacity to manage solid waste. We have no excuse to continue with this mess we have in Chitezi. We have no excuse. We have no excuse to continue using rudimentary methods. Many cities have moved towards recycling garbage. But for us, we are still on that rudimentary method of pick and dump, pick and dump, pick and dump. But even that one, we have failed to manage it sustainably, leaving it to the private sector. So one of the strategies I intend to come up with is, one, to enhance our capacity as KCCA to manage, to collect garbage, at least so that we lessen the burden on the people of, the people who are burdened with, we lessen the burden on the people who are entitled to our services. So I intend to realign the budget, get part of the money from unnecessary allocations. There are some unnecessary allocations I'll talk about. That money will be reallocated towards purchase of garbage trucks. So to begin with, this year we have to buy 5 garbage trucks. That is the projection I'm putting in the budget. 5 garbage trucks must be bought to begin with, so that we make it a practice that every year we buy 5 trucks. With the time, we shall be in position to develop our capacity to manage and collect that garbage. As we move towards recycling, because I would like to impress it upon my colleagues in the institution that instead of just building a landfill in Dundu, we turn it into a recycling center. That Dundu land is big enough. We must turn it into a recycling center. And that has to be captured within the strategic plan. Roads. Currently in the city we have 2,100 kilometers of roads, but only 608 kilometers are paved. That doesn't reflect a good picture for the city of Kampala, which is our capital city. You can see only 608 kilometers which are paved. And not all the 608 kilometers are in good motorable conditions, no. They are potholes all over. So we must have a plan to deal with this. And the proposal I'm tabling in the budget is to enhance the allocation to road fund, which currently stands at 35 billion Uganda shillings. The road fund is just 35 billion. We must improve on this. And we want to also explore ways of reducing on the unity cost, because the unity cost in Kampala is huge. It's very expensive. I don't know. This is one matter which I intend to critically reflect on. Why is the unity cost, the cost of a particular kilometer in Kampala, is costing such exorbitant monies? So that has also to be addressed going forwards if we were to improve on the road infrastructure in Kampala and ease the traffic flow. Then the multimodal transport plan, we are going to roll it out. We have to, this coming year, we have to roll out the Kampala multimodal transport plan. It's very, very absurd for Ugandans to have a city with no transport plan, mass public transport clearly provided for. That will capture issues to do with street parking, with parking towers, with the future development plans, how we can have trams, how we can have underground tubes and all that kind of thing you can talk about that comes with a modern transport system. So a comprehensive master plan has been developed. It has been finalized with the support from the World Bank. So now this coming year we are going to roll it out and see how it can be implemented. That is also some good news. Many of these ordinances also have been passed in this financial year. Many of them, they have been in the order paper several times, but this time around, I want these ordinances to be passed. One, we have the closed circuit television, the CCTV ordinance, that requires installation of CCTV cameras in major commercial malls and shopping centers here in Kampala, markets, places of, public places to provide for the security of our people. So those CCTV cameras, we must make it a mandatory requirement under the law. Currently there is none. An ordinance on street parking, we don't have any. Preservation of historical buildings and monuments, we have to preserve our ornament, our heritage. So we have to have an ordinance on preservation of most of those old architecture designs which are peculiar to our city. You know, Kampala is one city with no identity, with no clear identity. You can hardly look at a building and say, this is typical of Kampala. Nothing. So we must preserve all the architecture designs for heritage purposes. Green infrastructure, that is about the green cover in Kampala. The audit is still ongoing. the audit of the trees, but we want the infrastructure to regulate the planting of trees in Kampala and management of our green infrastructure. The organization and licensing of street vending, that ordinance is also in the offing. Recruitment, training and operations of reinforcement. Naming of streets and roads ordinance. You see, currently you find people just sitting and begin naming roads from nowhere, out of the blue. You find somebody, another city chairman, convince the committee because there is a tycoon in the area who has given them this road is with an ordinance to regulate naming of our roads and streets. Procurement, ordinance to regulate the management of taxis. That one has also been pending. How the associations can be put in place, elections and so on and so forth. Borders, the associations also now in this area. You don't know which is which now. Which association is taking charge of what? The same with the matatus. You cannot tell. I'll give you an example. For example, Kotisa. In a space of 1 month after the resignation of Sematimba, they elected somebody called Kalifan. Then in the same month they tell you, no, it is not Kalifan. We have Katumba Williams. Then others are saying, no, it's not Katumba Williams. It is actually Rashid Secindi. So you get that kind of confusion. Then Mustafa Mayamba tells you, no, it is Utrada which is in charge. So we are saying no. We can't allow that to happen in a capital city. We must have an ordinance to regulate management of those associations and organization of the same. Finally, infrastructure development and social services. We intend to commit more resources towards the improvement of the conditions in our hospitals, because many of them now are in the hands of the central government, but we are obliged to ensure that they are in good conditions. So we intend to commit more resources to our schools, and also construction of public toilets. This one, we have started on it. We have already, the good news I'm giving you, because currently, let me tell you, in Kampala we don't have even a single public toilet that meets the standards required of a capital city. No, there is no single public toilet that meets those standards which are required in a capital city. It's not there. Not even a single one. That is very, very absurd. So with the assistance of a number of development partners, specifically Bill and Mirinda Gates, at least we have started on the construction of modern ones. One, we have started with Kasubi Market. There is a modern one which is being constructed. On top there are even the business center on top of those toilets, restaurants, conferences, they are stored. So it's going to be a complex of sorts. So at least Kasubi, Abowa, and Namuongo. Those ones have to be completed within next year. And also we shall also embark on the construction of more, because in total we are going to put in place 71 public toilets. But at least we have started with those 3, and they must be completed next year. And the Central Business District, we are beginning this coming year to ensure that we construct those toilets. And also reconstruction of the old taxi park. it has to be also begin. The reconstruction has to begin this year. So we have to work out arrangements with the tax operators and see how the same is going to be addressed. Thank you very much. I know the transformation of Kampala for quite some time. It's been lip service. I don't want this to remain on paper. That is my assurance. Because there is a culture of people just opening up a year. They give grandiose plans. They promise heaven on earth. But somewhere along the way, you lose track of the same. There are going to be specific benchmarks that will be using to assess progress on this and implementation of the same. And my sincere and honest prayer to the central government and the incoming minister is to embrace this development agenda. I am going to formally write to her, present this to her office, and seek for her views on the same. If they have any objection to any of these programs, they should raise it, of course with valid reasons. All I would expect is maximum cooperation, because this has got nothing to do with Lukwago as an individual. It has got nothing to do with my political agenda. It's about transformation of our capital city into a livable city, a sustainable city, a resilient city, a city that works for all of us. We are tired of this mess in the city. So let 2020 be a year of saying no to the mess in the city. A year of saying we must have a transformation agenda implemented. A year of saying no to just having plans on paper, but plans translated into action. Because we have got this practice and business of rolling out plans, and they are never implemented. And finally, a year of saying no to just a spiral transformation or development of the city, which is not guided by any instrument. And a year of saying no to a hodgepodge of confusion without any clear direction. Because right now you have no direction as to where the state is going. If I asked you how do you see the city tomorrow? How do you see Kampala in some years, 5 years to come? What do you expect to be in place? It's not there. It's like we are groping in darkness. You know, walking in darkness until you are in a tunnel. It's like we're in a tunnel, a dark tunnel. We don't know how Kampala will look like tomorrow. That is not for this century. That is the agenda I wanted to roll out for you. I have your first question about the source of sabotage. Of course you know. I'm sure by the time you posed that question, you knew the answer. But my worry is not far-fetched, going by the antecedents. You know what has happened in the past. And you are aware we have come a long way to reach here. Previously, the argument was that the office of the Lord Mayor is purely ceremonial. It has been a struggle to reach this particular point, for people to recognize that the Lord Mayor has powers to make a budget. It has been a protracted struggle. Since I came here in 2011, it has been the struggle to have those powers so that I can implement the programs I committed myself to do, to execute the social contract to implement the social contract I executed with the people. You have a manifesto, you promise heaven on earth, then you come here, they tell you you are ceremonial. So it's been a struggle. And I'm glad now we are at this point where many stakeholders have agreed that actually the Lord Mayor should have the powers to make the budget. It's no longer the office of the executive director. Under the new law, it is the Lord Mayor now to make the budget. That is very, very fundamental. So where I expect sabotage now is for my detractors now to change tactic and say no. Yes, we are defeated in Parliament, but now with implementation we can make it difficult. There is a problem for Mr. Museveni to consider the resources we have in this country has his personal money, because all we have talked about here requires money. I don't want to get a question from the president or any other person. Where are you going to get that money from? And on whose money are you making those bridges? It is taxpayers' money. So what I want to hear from Mr. Museveni and his government is the recognition of the law as is as passed by Parliament and the dictates of the Constitution that gives the power to the people to determine their destiny and to determine how they should be governed, and also allocation of these funds, so that they don't now slash our budget downwards. Because let me give you the trend of the budget. Before KCCA, the budget was in the region of 50 billion. By the time Madam Jennifer Semakula Musisi left KCCA, the budget had shot up to 562 billion. The last budget we had in 2016-2017, 562 billion. Since then, it has been dwindling. This financial year, it has been 439, I'm sorry. 439. Now, what I'm budgeting on right now is 325. It's now going down. That is one challenge I foresee. The other thing is that 2020 is an election year. The political momentum is already high. You can see what is happening. The temperatures are high. So anything you do might be perceived from that particular perspective. That with this development program fully funded, it might give political mileage to this gentleman. And then somebody decides to sabotage it on that account. That is the message I'm sending across. That there you are not sabotaging Lukwago. You are sabotaging yourself, you are sabotaging the people of Kampala. Because a messy Kampala does not affect only Lukwago, it affects all of us across the board. This traffic gridlock, the floods, the kind of mess you see here, the stench that comes from uncollected garbage, it does not affect Lukwago as an individual. It affects all of us. So that's the reason I'm making a humble appeal to the powers that be, and specifically to the line minister, to keep her eye and mind on these issues, not to focus on any political agenda. That's why I made a humble appeal to her and told her, Madam Betty, Betty Amonji, make a radical departure from the agenda of your predecessors and don't focus on fixing Mr. Museveni's politics in Kampala. That one she will not manage, honestly. She won't manage. But with the development, we can register some good mileage where there is goodwill.
But Mayor, there is an issue that is pending in the council about the 49 billion. What action is?
Not everything in Kampala is focused. By the way, we tend to have that blood vision, that kind of misconception that actually it is KCCA which is responsible for each and everything. Somebody will see sewage overflowing and say, what is KCCA doing? No, that is National Water and Sewage Corporation. I don't want to run away from the duty we also share with the NEMA. But the primary obligation rests on with the NEMA to control noise pollution countrywide, because their jurisdiction is the entire country. So NEMA has done virtually nothing when it comes to noise control in Kampala. They have done virtually nothing. They have their own police, they have their mechanisms of dealing with the noise pollution. You do not expect KCCA enforcement to run after this, you organize the street vending, you organize the matatus, organize border borders, organize this, organize blah blah street kids, and then even bars with buying music and blah blah blah. It cannot happen. That is not feasible. So we should put NEMA to work. For me, the oversight role now remains with the council largely. Yes, I still have it, but mine now. And you wait in some months to come, in the next council meetings, I'm going to roll out the programs that will be done. For example, there have been weekly management meetings. The law talks of day-to-day management now in the hands of the Lord Mayor. So those weekly management meetings are going to be now integrated into the executive committee meetings. Once I constitute the executive committee, it will be sitting regularly to deal with those matters. That will be explained in the council. And the standing committees now are answerable to the speaker. The standing committees which handle oversight are not directly answerable now to the Lord Mayor. They are answerable to council, which I don't preside over. So that issue of oversight, we shall be handling it together with the council, because that is now not my docket of presiding over council to handle oversight. So the speaker, if the incoming speaker finds it appropriate to have it in one of those meetings, they will do so. But of course, certainly, myself, I will not also sit back. I will continue pushing for the same. Yes, let's conclude.
Under the new development strategy,
the 800,000 shillings, 800,000 euros for FD. Then EU is going to sit in January and tell us the actual facility they are giving us and how the same is going to be financed. And the same has to go through Ministry of Finance if it's a loan, and most probably it's going to be a loan. That other component, it's going to be a loan, and see how it will be processed through the Ministry of Finance and through Parliament. We have no choice to, on that. But as of now, we have this support from AFD, which we are now banking on to roll out the program. It's not going to be completed. I don't want to give you that false hope that this project is going to be fully implemented within this coming year. No, we are just starting to implement it this coming year with that fund so far given, approved by the AFD board. Yeah, thank you.